Tonight, the Electoral College explained. With Election Day near, we'll look at how this voting system impacts who wins the White House and why it matters for your vote. Coming up on VCU InSight. Next, Beyoncé makes waves with her endorsement of Kamala Harris in Houston. But does celebrity power really move votes? We'll tell you Trump's response. Stay tuned. Tonight, when sports and politics collide, top athletes are throwing their support behind presidential candidates. Who's teaming up with whom ahead of Election Day? Stay tuned. All this and more, VCU InSight starts now. Hello, I'm Esther Shibawale, and this is VCU InSight. With Election Day right around the corner, the Electoral College and what it means for voting is a popular topic of discussion. InSight reporter Bersabe Kima has more details on the importance of being informed on this subject.
According to USA.gov, our president and vice president are elected through the Electoral College rather than a popular vote, which is how other U.S. elections are determined. Political science professor William Newman explained what the Electoral College is and why it was put in place.
The idea is that they didn't want smaller states to be ignored, where if you were the president of the United States and you were running, you could pay attention to just the big states and then ignore the small states. And that's still true today. So what they do is they say, what we'll do it is we essentially will have 51 small elections, and whoever wins the state gets the electoral votes for that state.
Every state in America has a set number of electoral votes it receives, which is a direct reflection of the state's population size. In order for a president to win the presidential election, he or she must at least get 270 Electoral College votes. In the years 2000 and 2016, the candidates who won the popular vote did not win the Electoral College, thus losing the election. This caused a wide range of confusion for citizens who did not quite understand the way the Electoral College operates. Richmond resident Melena Moore believes it's critical for voters to understand the role of the Electoral College, especially during a presidential election.
It's important to rally people, because if you want a certain candidate, the state has to win that candidate, because pretty much all their votes go towards that candidate. So that's why swing states are so important, in the election.
It's going to be close, and every vote really does count.
Reporting live in Richmond for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Bersabe Kimau.
Make sure to head out to your nearest voting station and cast your vote before or on November 5th. Election officials across the country are under higher scrutiny as the 2024 presidential election approaches. Kaylee Crabb has more on how local election workers are navigating these pressures.
With early voting underway, local election officials are facing increased scrutiny and pressure to maintain trust in the system. According to Politico, election officials across multiple states worry about harassment and security threats as they work to combat election misinformation and protect voter confidence. This change stems from widespread distrust, largely fueled by false fraud claims from the 2020 election. Further complicating this, the New York Times reports that artificial intelligence has become a tool in disinformation campaigns, creating fake images and messages designed to further erode public confidence in election integrity. To counter these challenges, officials have intensified efforts in voter education, aiming to protect the democratic process.
With Election Day less than a week away, officials are hoping these extra measures will help ensure a safe and trustworthy process for all voters. Voting in America has seen dramatic changes in recent years, and those changes are shaping how citizens engage with democracy. InSight's Kaylee Crabb has more details.
From standing in long lines on Election Day to voting by mail from the comfort of home, the landscape of American elections has evolved significantly. To gain deeper insights into these shifts, I turned to Alex Kina, a political science professor specializing in elections.
20 years ago, the way that campaigns advertised was different. They used to primarily advertise on TV, and they still do quite a bit, but now they're increasingly advertising on social media, and they're using Google and these tech giants to help disseminate their messages.
As political engagement evolves, candidates are finding new ways to connect with young voters. The Brennan Center for Justice reports that Kamala Harris's campaign and supporters spent over $180 million on digital ads on Meta and Google by late August. With campaigns ramping up digital spending, I asked local college student Nick Ernest for his thoughts.
In regards to the election, almost all of it has transitioned to the internet now.
With the methods of campaigning and information dissemination changing, voters are encouraged to stay informed by using balanced news websites and to fact-check information by using sites such as PolitiFact.
For one, actual video clips of what the politicians are saying. Secondly, pundits whose opinions that I value and their interpretation of what people are saying and covering the issues and that sort of thing. Next, Twitter. I'm a big Twitter user.
Voting has evolved from paper ballots to electronic machines and mail-in options to boost accessibility. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated these changes, making remote voting essential. Meanwhile, social media became vital for keeping voters informed and engaged, demonstrating how technology reshapes our electoral process. As it does, new avenues for data-driven campaigning emerge.
Because of the data trail that we leave when we go on the internet and we use our devices, they're able to use that information and they buy that information from data brokers so they can target a very specific audience.
With just days to go, there are still multiple ways to cast your ballot, whether it's in person or by mail. Reporting for the newsroom at VCU InSight News, I'm Kaylee Crowd.
Kamala Harris's closing speech for voters was held in a recognizable location. Kamala Harris delivered her closing speech to voters and attendees on October 29th, just a few days away from the election date. This speech was held at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. This location was also where former President Donald Trump held his Save America rally that came right before the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6. According to CNN, Harris informed voters that electing Trump would give him the opportunity to retaliate against his rivals, whereas electing her would get things done for the country. Harris had an estimated 75,000 in attendance as she made her closing case for her presidential run. Tensions are rising and the clock is quickly ticking as we wait to see who will win the next presidential debate. Election season is here. The influence of celebrities plays a big role in swaying voters. VCU InSight's Michael Estrella has more.
With the 2024 election being so close, many people turn to the internet to try and research the candidate they want to vote for. In the age of social media, many people can cast their vote solely based on who their favorite celebrity is voting for. VCU political science professor William Newman says some people don't even pay attention to the race until someone they're a fan of endorses a candidate.
There are a whole lot of people who don't pay attention at all to politics, and they take their cues from celebrities.
A number of celebrities have endorsed both candidates.
It's more than ever, and I think it's important to use your voice. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please.
The next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother.
We are voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they are fighting to protect our...
That will matter is getting those registrations and then getting everyone to actually vote. That is what will decide this election.
According to a recent Census Bureau estimate, there will be 4 million teens who have turned or will be turning 18 this year. And that means 4 million first-time voters. Whether they're voting at a community center like this one or using an absentee ballot, celebrity endorsements will definitely be a factor in their decision-making. VCU sociology professor Zachary Goodall says the halo effect is a reason people think and feel like their favorite celebrities do.
The halo effect is this idea that if you like somebody, then you attribute positive attributes to their character, to their thinking, to their decisions, to their lifestyle.
As millions of voters head to the polls or send in their ballots, the influence of endorsement from celebrities plays a key role. For VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Michael Estrella.
Whether you or the people you know are taking advice from your favorite celebrities this election year, at the end of the day, it's up to the voter on how much they will be influenced. Speaking of celebrity endorsements, in a significant moment for the 2024 presidential campaign, singer Beyoncé made headlines this week by endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris at a rally in Houston, Texas. The superstar spoke passionately about the importance of representation and the need for a leader who understands the challenges facing everyday Americans. Former President Donald Trump responded by downplaying the significance of celebrity endorsements. He argued that voters are more concerned with issues like the economy and safety than with who's singing at a rally. As the election approaches, both sides will be watching closely to see how these endorsements affect voter turnout and campaign momentum. Former President Donald Trump made an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, sparking an online frenzy that took social media by storm. InSight reporter Rachel Riggs has more information.
The former president, Donald Trump, made a surprise appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. Known for its candid conversations and diverse range of guests, Rogan's show has become a cultural touchstone, and Trump's appearance only amplified its reach. From supporters celebrating the candid dialogue to critics expressing disbelief at the former president's remarks, clips of their conversations quickly circulated, sparking debates on topics ranging from politics to pop culture. Memes, hot takes, and countless reactions flooded platforms like Twitter and TikTok, showcasing the immense influence of both Trump and Rogan in today's media landscape. This unexpected collaboration highlighted not just the blending of politics and entertainment, but also the unpredictable nature of modern discourse, leaving audiences buzzing and the internet reeling. Reporting for VCU InSight and the VCU Newsroom, I'm Rachel Riggs.
A celebrity endorsement backfired at a Trump rally this weekend in New York. VCU InSight's Michael Estrella has more.
Thanks, Esther. Controversy is brewing after comedian Tony Hinchcliffe made an appearance at a Trump rally this past Sunday in New York. During Hinchcliffe's time speaking at the rally, he referred to Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage, as well as other offensive remarks that are now facing backlash.
Literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right.
With a large Puerto Rican population in Pennsylvania, which is a crucial swing state, the effects could hurt Trump in his attempts to win the 2024 presidency. According to ABC 27 and U.S. Census Bureau figures, Pennsylvania's Latino-eligible voter population has more than doubled since 2000, from 206,000 to 620,000 in 2023. For VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Michael Estrella.
Thanks, Michael. Earlier this week, Jennifer Lopez publicly announced her support for Kamala Harris after backlash erupted over Hinchcliffe's performance at the new Trump rally in Madison Square Garden. Now, Lopez is set to speak at the Las Vegas rally for Harris, adding her voice to the campaign amid the ongoing controversy surrounding the racially charged joke. Donald Trump has spent millions of dollars within his campaign for the 2024 election, creating anti-trans ads. InSight reporter Rachel Riggs will break down the story for us.
Since October 1st, Trump's campaign has spent over $19 million on TV ads aired nearly 55,000 times, focusing on taxpayer-funded gender transitions for prisoners and detainees. These ads target battleground states and feature Kamala Harris' 2019 support for gender-affirming care for inmates and migrants.
I have seen them, and honestly, they make me a little disgusted. Him saying that Kamala is for them and Trump is for you, I just think that invalidates the queer and transgender community 100%.
Donald Trump's administration launched a year-long campaign to remove LGBTQ protections, including attempts to erase the recognition of transgender people, undermine protections for transgender students and workers, and limit access to gender-affirming health care, which was already difficult for many to obtain.
I think the ones that I saw were attacking folks like Jonathan Van Ness and other more prominent trans and non-binary people just for living their authentic lives.
Throughout this election, the LGBTQ+ community has felt targeted as Trump attempts to undermine their voices and roll back hard-fought rights following decades of struggle and resilience.
The way in which that we allow him to attack our trans and queer youth, right? We want these kids to express themselves and be free and be happy. And If we are taking that right and that choice away, that's when I think it really becomes a problem.
This election is crucial for trans and LGBTQ rights, as it could impact healthcare access, legal protections, and equality. The outcome will either safeguard or roll back recent progress for these communities. Reporting for VCU InSight, I'm Rachel Riggs.
Voting is your power. Make your voice heard and shape the future. Every vote counts, so get out and cast yours. Coming up, tensions over free speech on campus. VCU students and faculty respond as new rules restricting public gatherings go into effect amid pro-Palestine protests. What do these changes mean for student activism? And later, excitement builds in Richmond as the Flying Squirrels and CarMax announce a brand new stadium in the Diamond District with big plans for baseball and community events. We'll give you a sneak peek into what CarMax Park will bring to the city. Stay tuned to VCU InSight, your source for what matters in our community. As tensions have been rising due to the Palestine-Israeli conflict, colleges and universities in Virginia have been taking initiatives to keep their campuses safe. I went to the VCU campus in Richmond to find out more.
I promise you every single one of them deserves to live because they're real people and real human beings.
Virginia Commonwealth University, as well as other Virginia universities, has proposed a new set of guidelines stating how students can demonstrate on campus grounds, but how are students and faculty reacting? Dr. John Augenbaugh is an associate professor in the political science department at VCU. While Augenbaugh understands the authoritative approach that the university has taken, he also understands the students' use of free speech.
What we're talking about here is a balancing of two competing interests. The authority of VCU to regulate the time, place, and manner of speech versus individuals, groups, and their ability to engage in speech and also peaceably assemble.
Augenbaugh advises students to try and comply with protests peacefully, but still use their voices in sight of the cause that they are fighting for.
Because if ultimately the goal is to change behavior, engaging people peacefully and engaging in civil discourse historically is the better way to go ahead and change people's minds and policies.
Titled Campus Expression and Space Utilization Policy Interim, the revised policy specifically states that any commercial use of university space must be authorized in writing by the Vice President with oversight of the administrative unit managing the space. One of the students' main concern about the interim is the new change of mask use on campus grounds. Serene Hadid is a senior at VCU, as well as a member of Students for Justice in Palestine at VCU. On Thursday, September 26, many students gathered at Monroe Park for a vigil organized by the student organization to hear Hadid speak. Hadid says that her family has been personally affected by the ongoing war in Gaza.
And the masking policy takes away the freedom to protest anonymously. I think a student walking around campus as well with a mask is no threat.
The timing of VCU's policy changes prompts questions about whether they are a proactive measure in light of global events or a response to recent campus incidents.
So I do think policy changes definitely were in response to the protests. However, with that in mind, that doesn't stop us. No sort of policy change or intimidation tactic the university tries to get us, the government tries to get us, will ever stifle our voices in any sort of way, because we know where we stand. We stand on the right side of history. We fight for the rights of Palestinians. We fight for the right of all of the oppressed.
The debate continues about how these regulations might impact campus culture and student activism in the long term. Reporting from Richmond, Virginia, and VCU's InSight, I'm Esther Shibawale. University students are still coming together to challenge this new policy. The City of Richmond, CarMax, and the Richmond's Flying Squirrels have announced a new baseball stadium coming to Richmond. Rachel Riggs has more.
The Richmond Flying Squirrels and CarMax announced the new Richmond ballpark will be named CarMax Park. In addition to hosting the Flying Squirrels, the venue will feature year-round events like concerts and festivals. CarMax partnership supports the future of baseball in Richmond and community engagement.
There have been people here in Richmond that have been waiting much longer than we have for this new facility, and have heard talk of a new stadium for a long time, literally decades.
Whoa!
CarMax and the Richmond Squirrels plan to enhance fan experiences, offer in-stadium advertising, and collaborate with local partners through events at the ballpark.
It opens up so many different possibilities, and then the connectivity to the Diamond District and the parks that eventually, connect to Scott's Addition. It really is going to be, I think, a community asset that, will be in use, again, year-round, not just for baseball.
CarMax Park, part of the Diamond District, will offer a 360-degree concourse, a field-level dugout suite, outfield social spaces, a beer garden, and a kids zone. It will also feature luxury suites, indoor spaces, and views of downtown Richmond, with elements celebrating the city's history and culture.
It definitely brings more traffic and stuff in, like I said, good and bad ways, but it's as a whole, it brings more, like you said, venues and stuff, and then traffic in general, which more revenue, more money,
The City of Richmond, the Flying Squirrels, and CarMax officially announced that the new stadium will be ready for the 2026 baseball season. This is Rachel Riggs reporting for VCU InSight.
Richmond locals should get excited for this exciting district coming to Richmond. Coming up in sports, it's game time in politics as athletes hit the field for their favorite candidates. With the election around the corner, big names like Stephen Curry and Magic Johnson are backing Democratic nominee Kamala Harris, while the NFL's Nick Bosa, pro golfer John Daly, and UFC's Dana White stand behind Republican Donald Trump. Inside Sports reporter Andrew McGann will break down how these endorsements are shaking up the political playbook. All that and more next on Inside Sports.
Hello, I'm Andrew again with Inside Sports News. San Francisco 49ers Pro Bowl player Nick Bosa recent actions have sparked controversy among fans after the 49ers defeated the Dallas Cowboys this past Sunday night. Nick Bosa popped up during post-game interviews to showcase a hat that read Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again." Bosa was not scheduled for a post-game interview. The fashion choice caused fans on social media to openly express their opinions, with many being upset that he was allowed to do that. Some fans even questioned why Bosa's actions were considered okay when former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick got in trouble for expressing his stance in the past. Bosa responded to the criticism by saying, "I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's an important time. It is unclear if he will face any action from the NFL." With the election happening on November 5th, this is a time where politics and sports start to mix together. Numerous high-profile athletes have come out to endorse their presidential candidate. The Harris campaign launched Athletes for Harris, where athletes endorse Democratic nominee Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. Golden State Warriors superstar Stephen Curry gave his endorsement for Harris by way of video message at the National Democratic Convention. Along with Curry, his head coach, Steve Kerr, spoke in person at the convention. Some other names a part of the campaign include NBA Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, NBA All-Star Chris Paul, two-time Women's World Cup winner Ali Krieger, South Carolina head coach Dawn Staley, and more. Athletes who have endorsed Republican candidate Donald Trump are pro golfer John Daly, NFL kicker Harrison Butker, WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan, and more. UFC President Dana White spoke at a Trump rally for his endorsement for Trump. That does it for Inside Sports this week. Be sure to tune in for the latest sports news on our next episode. Reporting from the VCU Newsroom, I'm Andrew McGann. Back to you, Esther.
You can catch a new edition of VCU InSight every Thursday afternoon on our YouTube channel. For VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Esther Shabawale.